All right, everyone, I think we're ready to go. Thank you all for joining us today to understand how to power up your information pipeline by delivering effective communication channels. I'm Carissa Eatman, and I'm the Senior Marketing Coordinator for Keller Schrader, and I'll introduce you to our presenters in a moment, but we first want to cover some housekeeping items before we get started. The first is when you registered, you were asked to give us your nomination for a community give back. So after this event is over with, we'll take those nominations and select a charity to receive a $500 donation. So we greatly appreciate you helping us, partnering with us on that effort. We're really excited to see who's selected, and we would love your participation when we actually do deliver that donation. So we'll be in touch about that a little more later. One more housekeeping item that I will mention is if you have a question, go ahead and put that in the Q&A section instead of the chat. I'll be monitoring that throughout the webinar, and we'll get to all of those at the end, I promise. I'll make sure that I keep track of them, and we'll ask our presenters when we're finished. So with that, let me introduce you to our presenters today. Rob Wilson and Carrie Rudolph have a combined 47+ years of experience in delivering custom software solutions for lines of business in various industries. They're known for being results-driven and customer-focused in their delivery of business process improvement solutions. Carrie is the co-director of our Microsoft Application Solutions Group in Evansville, Indiana, excuse me, if you're not familiar with that, and responsible for managing teams and leading projects related to Microsoft platforms. Rob is the principal consultant for the Southeast region out of our Nashville office, holding several Microsoft certifications and leading digital transformation initiatives. So with that, I will hand it over to Rob and Carrie to start our presentation today.
Great. Thank you very much, Carissa. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. From government agencies and regulators to your organizational leadership, corporate communications, clinical practice managers, employees, suppliers, patients, and customers, we've seen an unprecedented surge in information recently, and sometimes misinformation that requires expeditious delivery. Regardless of what the information is or who it is intended for, your stakeholders are depending on you to deliver it reliably. A recent survey on corporate communications showed that most companies don't have a communications plan in place, and the ones that do have a process that are broken. Most employees rather feel disconnected, even though they admit to not using the designated tools. And companies that do it right are the clear winners, obviously, but you have to find the balance. It's not always best to over communicate. So doing it right means that you need to find the delicate balance between not enough information and too much information. It's paramount to have one source for the truth, to provide tools for information distribution, and to know that the information has been received. You also need to allow for the information to flow back when needed. The good news is that it's easier than ever to distribute key information consistently and reliably over multiple digital channels with no programming skills required. And you may already own the tools that you need to make it work. So I invite you now to do a self-checkup. Think about the last piece of critical news that you shared at your organization. Do you know that it got to the right people at exactly the right time? When the stakes are high, you cannot just throw caution to the wind. There is a better way. In the past, when traditional platforms fell short, we relied on extensive custom coding to build in the accountability features that we required. In this example, you can see that we developed a tracking mechanism into our own intranet and SharePoint Online. As a user, I could see exactly which documents are new or changed since the last time I visited our Bulletins library. This is a little bit better than just the new icon that would appear in SharePoint. This was something that wouldn't go away with time. It only went away as I read the document. As an administrator, I could see exactly who had read the latest release of a bulletin that I published, and who had not, even more importantly. But despite its usefulness, this required a lot of custom code, which needed to be updated each time SharePoint put out a new release. So it wasn't the ideal situation at all. Today, Carrie is going to talk about a better way to build out your information delivery framework using modern tooling that requires little to no coding experience. Using the Power Platform, you can expect flexibility and speed to market in developing low-code solutions, resulting in more efficient business processes. And it's catching on. Gardner estimates that by 2024, all application development will be accomplished using low-code solutions. So let's turn it over to Carrie now to learn a little bit more and to see a demo. Carrie?
Thanks, Rob. Today I'm going to talk through each of the individual applications that make up the Power Platform, and then after you guys kind of get an overview of what role each of those applications plays in the platform, I'll have a short demo of a proof of concept that I've put together for our communication solution. The Microsoft Power Platform is a product family that delivers innovative business solutions across one seamlessly integrated platform. Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents allow any business to analyze and visualize real-time performance, quickly and easily build custom apps, automate workflows, and integrate AI capabilities. The Power Platform provides a low-code interface for any user to quickly create custom apps while simultaneously providing robust tools for pro developers. These services share AI capabilities, a common database or the common data service, and more than 300 connectors to help create powerful solutions to many business challenges. All of these pieces together make it possible to integrate innovative solutions across Azure, modern workplace, and standalone applications in your organization. The applications making up the Power Platform serve different purposes, but they do so within the familiar Microsoft ecosystem. Your user base is likely already familiar and comfortable navigating Microsoft 365, Teams, or SharePoint, and this platform builds upon that familiarity. The Power Platform also lets you integrate and interact with your applications within these familiar portals and collaboration tools. We're going to look at each of the applications and how they might be valuable to your organization. Power BI is the business analysis pillar of the Power Platform. It allows you to conduct data-driven collaboration by sharing rich data visualizations that help everyone make decisions based on facts and not just instinct. And you can distribute your findings to team members both inside and outside your organization. You're able to explore data easily using conversational language to get meaningful answers to your data questions asked in your own words. Increase the impact of your insights by sharing them with teammates in the tools they use every day, such as Microsoft Teams, Dynamics 365, and the Microsoft Power Platform. Power BI allows you to connect to all of your data and get a consolidated view across your business through a single pane of glass. It facilitates the creation of ad hoc analysis, live dashboards, and interactive reports that are easy to consume on the web or across mobile devices. Next, we're going to look at Power Apps, which is the low-code application development tool within the Power Platform. Empower your team to start building and launching apps right away using pre-built templates, drag and drop simplicity, and quick deployments, and then roll out the continuous improvements as needed. Give everyone the power to build the apps they need with advanced functionality previously only available to professional developers, including some pre-built AI components. But at the same time, provide those professional developers the tools to seamlessly extend the app capabilities with Azure functions and custom connectors to proprietary and on-premise systems. Power Apps allow you to increase the agility across your organization by rapidly building low-code apps that modernize processes and solve tough challenges. Next, we're going to talk about Power Automate, which was previously known as Flow. It is the workflow and automation engine within the Power Platform. Boost your productivity by automating manual processes with time-saving workflows for everything from individual tasks to large-scale systems with seamless integration using hundreds of pre-built connectors. New robotic process automation features unleashed the power to automate across both modern and legacy systems within your organization. Automate time-consuming manual tasks with built-in AI capabilities, giving you more time to focus on strategic, high-value opportunities. Power Automate assists you in your transformation to turn the outdated into automated with a better way to get things done across your organization through digital and robotic process automation. Finally, we're going to talk about Power Virtual Agents, which is a chatbot development tool in the Power Platform. Create powerful chatbots without the need for developers or data scientists by using a guided, no-code graphical interface. Integrate these Power Virtual Agents with the products and services you use every day using hundreds of those pre-built connectors, or by building custom workflows using Automate, or create complex scenarios with the Microsoft Bot Framework. Monitor and continuously improve your chatbot performance using AI and data-driven insights available in an easy-to-read dashboard. These adaptable, low-code AI chatbots are at your service to help solve common customer and internal-facing issues automatically, freeing up your staff to focus on complex requests and high-value interactions. You may have recently seen these in action on the CDC's website, where Power Virtual Agents developed chatbots to help the public determine if they should be tested for COVID-19 or not. I also want to talk about two Microsoft 365 applications that, when integrated with your applications, really bring the Power Platform to life. And the first of these is Microsoft Teams. Teams is a chat-based workspace that enables teams to be more productive by giving them a single and secure location that brings together everything they need: chats, meetings, calls, files, applications, and tools. Microsoft Teams solves the communication needs of a diverse workforce. You can use Teams for informal one-on-one or group chats, or you can have an open conversation in a channel. This allows people to share information in a transparent way to accelerate decision-making. When it comes to collaboration, the deep Office integration enables today's multi-generational workforce to use the Office apps they are familiar with and love. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, SharePoint, Planner, and even Power BI can all be used right within the context of Teams. You can customize Teams with tabs, connectors, and bots to include the apps and services you need. For the developer community, they have also created an extensible platform to enable building apps and to integrate with business processes. Microsoft Teams comes with enterprise-grade security, compliance, and manageability that you expect from a Microsoft 365 tool. Next, let's talk about SharePoint, which is your intelligent intranet. SharePoint empowers teamwork with dynamic and productive team sites for every project team, department, and division. With SharePoint, you can build cohesion and inform your employees throughout your intranet and drive organizational efficiency by sharing common resources and application on home sites and portals. You can harness your collective knowledge with powerful search and intelligent ways to discover information, expertise, and insights to inform decisions and guide actions. And with SharePoint lists and libraries, Power Automate, and Power Apps, you can create rich digital experiences with forms, workflows, and custom apps that will transform your business processes. The Power Platform has integrated enterprise-grade management and control. Authentication, auditing, and usage analytics are all centrally managed, to ease governance and control at a high level within the organization. The Power Platform provides seamless connectivity to cloud and on-premise-based applications via APIs, connectors, and on-premises data gateways. For example, if you've ever used Zapier, a consumer or any consumer integration tool, just know that the Power Platform will allow you to integrate with your line of business systems as well as those other popular online applications. The Power Platform allows your IT developers to extend the applications, to build custom controls, and to write advanced client and server-side logic using Azure services when requirements reach past the low-code options available. Each of the Power Platform applications has a different licensing structure to meet your unique needs. Keller Schrader is a CSP, and we have licensing experts on staff. So if you would like to learn more about what licenses you have today, or what licenses are required in order to take advantage of the Power Platform, please let us know. We would be thrilled to dig into these details with you on an individual basis. So with all that information I just provided you, let's see it in action. I've put together a small proof of concept of a policy application where we can upload our policies not only in a central repository for employees within the organization to access and find the information they need, but also within this solution we have built in tracking of acknowledgments, so we know who has read the policies, who has acknowledged their understanding of the policies. So it's a full circle application. So here you can see I have a SharePoint document library where I am keeping all of our organization's policies. So at this time, I'm going to add a new policy to this document library by just dragging and dropping it in. And we're going to give this new policy a name, and it is Policy 11. If I can spell, there we go. Okay, so in this SharePoint document library, I've built an automate workflow. And so we're going to take a look at that workflow. It is a workflow that triggers anytime a new policy is added to the document library. So it's going to kick off. And the first thing it's going to do is get all group members of a Microsoft 365 group. So I provided the name of that group. It's going to get all the members of the group. And for each of those group members, it's going to go through a set of steps. So first, it's going to get each user's user profile from Microsoft 365. So here we're getting their email address, we're getting their display name, and we're getting the department that they are a member of. Then for each member of the group, it's going to create a policy tracking item. So I have the SharePoint document library to hold my policies. I have an additional custom SharePoint list to track the acknowledgements and who has read them. So in that list, we will have a row or an item for each individual and each policy that that individual needs to review. So here we're going to create that tracking item with the policy name, with the version number, with the department that the person who needs to acknowledge and read that policy's department, and their display name. And then once it's created that SharePoint item, the next thing it's going to do is send a Teams chat message to the individual, letting them know, hey, we've published a new policy that you need to take a look at. And this chat message is going to allow the user to provide feedback within Teams, within the chat window, to say, hey, I've read and acknowledged that policy, or hey, I'm busy right now, I will look at that later. If they say, hey, I have reviewed and understand the policy, at that point, we're going to send that individual a confirmation email. So they'll get an email that says, hey, we're confirming that you read and acknowledged the policy. You've done everything you need to do, closing the loop. At that point as well, we will update the SharePoint list item, so that custom SharePoint list where I'm tracking what users need to read what policies. We'll find the item for this policy and this user and check it off as reviewed. And we'll record at that point the date and time so we know when they reviewed. If the user says, no, I don't have time right now, we're going to send them an email to say, hey, remember, there was a new policy distributed and you still need to review it. Here you could also add a planner task for that individual. You could add a Microsoft Outlook to-do. There's many options here of how you could escalate and track. For this proof of concept and demo purposes, we're just going to send a reminder email. So I'm going to hop over here now. That's the end of our workflow. So I'm going to come over to our policy tracking custom list. And we're going to see that there are new entries here for policy 11, which was the new one that we added. And for each individual that needs to review that policy, there is an entry. And the reviewed says no, right? So now I'm going to hop over to Teams, and we'll see that I have a new chat message. So if I click on chat and scroll on down, I see I have a message here. A new policy has been added. Please click the link below to review and then respond accordingly. And I have a link to policy 11 here, and then I have buttons to record my response. So if I click on the policy 11 link, it brings up the policy, which right now is just a test PDF. So I'll close that. I'll come back down here and say, I have read and understand this policy, and I love this policy, right? So I will submit my response. And what we'll see is it updates the chat, allowing me only to respond once. And it has it recorded my response here. So I have kind of a record within Teams as well of what I have completed. Now, if we go back to the policies tracking list and I refresh this, we will see now that down here, policy 11, right here. Okay, Carrie Rudolph has reviewed it. Yes, my review date, and it captured my comments in the list as well, that I love this policy. If I come over to Outlook, I will see I have a new email that says this email is confirmation that you have read and acknowledged your understanding of policy 11 on this date at this time. So we close that loop. I have, as an individual in this organization, have reviewed and acknowledged that new policy. Now, you're going to need to track who has reviewed and who has seen these policies. So for that, I have a Power BI dashboard or report built into, embedded in a SharePoint page here. So I can review the policy review report, and here I can see who has reviewed what policies. So if we look, we can see our policies are listed down below. The number of people who have reviewed is in the light blue color here to acknowledge that reviewed was true. The dark blue with the numbers there represent the number of people who still need to review these policies. So if I want to see how we're doing on policy 4 specifically, I can click on the label at the bottom of that stacked chart, and it updates my detail information, the grid here to my right. And now we're only seeing information about policy 4, and I can see the names and the times that these 4 people have reviewed, and I can see who is still outstanding. If I want to check in on policy 2 and say, who are the 3 people who have read policy 3? I can click the 3, the light blue section of that stacked chart, and it will filter only to policy 2 and reviewed equal true. So I can see that Grady, Alex, and Carrie Ann have reviewed policy 2. But if I want to know on policy 1, who are the 14 people left to review policy 1, again, I can click that section of the bar, and now it's filtered only policy 1 where reviewed is false, and I can see who still needs to look at policy 1. Now, to have additional filtering capability, if we review this same report over in the Power BI workspace application, we can get a better feel for some additional information. So here we can see it looks just like we did before, but over to the right, we have some additional filters. So let's take a look at the R&D department and see on a department level how our organization is doing, how that department is doing on reviewing the policies. And I clicked retail, and that really shows that no one in retail has done anything. So we're going to look at R&D, and we can see that on policies 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1 person has reviewed and 1 person has not, and then the remaining policies are still yet to be reviewed. So we can get a look at this data at the department level. But let's say we also want to look at it and see how individuals are doing. So let's see how Alex is doing reviewing his policies. Here I've selected Alex, so we're only seeing Alex's information, and we can see he has reviewed the first 4 policies and is still needs to review the rest. So with Power BI and with these simple dashboards that I was able to build very quickly, you can really drill down and see per policy, per department, per user, how you're doing at acknowledgments and who still needs to review your information. So with that,
Carrie, I'll just say, every time I see it, I enjoy it more. Remind me, I believe you said that was about a day to a day and a half of effort for someone who really understands the platform. And a lot of that was, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could also do this? And so, escalation features and things like that are something that could be added in very easily if someone hasn't replied within a certain amount of time, helping to close that feedback loop that you talked about. Remind me again how many lines of code you have in this solution?
There is no code. This is all built with the Power Platform with absolutely 0 code. So all configured drag and drop capability.
Yeah, so much different than the way it used to be. So very impressive. Thanks for the demo.
You're welcome. So this was just a quick example of how you can use the Power Platform along with the Microsoft 365 tools we talked about to create a really robust communication solution. I use SharePoint to house my documents and tracking information. I use Power Automate to send out the notifications and to track those acknowledgments. I use Teams as a central location to communicate and gather information. And I use Power BI to provide visual insights to track that progress and performance. So this is just one example of how these tools can quickly be used to build a solution that allows you to distribute your information and ensure that the right people have received and acknowledged it. So Microsoft has also put together some templates to get you started. So you may find that although you have unique business requirements, that it could be 50 to 75 to even 80% of what you need could already be built in a template, which will get you started even that much faster. And you only need to to customize 10 to 20% of the final product to make it fit your unique needs. So I highly recommend going out and looking to see what templates are available. And we pulled 2 templates and an article here that we thought were of specific interest for the topic today and to the healthcare industry. So one to check out is the hospital emergency response template for the Power Platform. Another great one that's being used a lot is the crisis communication template for Power Apps. At the Microsoft Business Apps virtual launch event in April of 2020, they said that they were able to build this template in a matter of a couple weeks. And then within a couple weeks of rolling it out, they had been deployed in 3,000 organizations in 40 countries, serving over 100,000 users. So this was a great example of how the Microsoft Power Platform is scalable and how it's able to quickly respond to ever-changing business needs, especially during the pandemic. And finally, we have an article on how public agencies are keeping communities informed on COVID-19 using Power BI. So we're going to send all the attendees today these links in an email as a follow-up so that you can research and see if any of these or other templates would be of value to you to get your experience with Power Platform jump-started. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Rob.
Thanks again, Carrie, for the outstanding demo. It was interesting to watch again, like I said. A little bit about Keller Schrader now, for those of you who don't know us. We're a full-service IT consulting firm, employee-owned, and Microsoft Gold Certified partner. We're able, as Carrie said, to help you navigate the licensing and purchasing process for Microsoft 365 and the Power Platform. Not that that would be difficult, but we are able to help you with that. And also able to help you implement a business solution, train and mentor your team. We have a solid track record of projects across industries. We've worked with hospitals, behavioral health, healthcare suppliers, and in the healthcare space in developing intranets, compliance workflows, call center solutions, and other collaboration solutions. We know there are people from other industries on the webinar today as well. And we certainly have worked across industries, despite today's emphasis being on healthcare. We're unique in that we also offer advanced infrastructure solutions under the same roof. So how solid is your information pipeline? Let's talk about it. There's no obligation to talk more. It only costs you a few minutes of your time to sit across the table from me and share a cup of coffee. We can meet virtually, however it works best for you. Let's connect and talk about it. And with that, I want to hand it back over to Carissa and see if there are any questions.
Thanks, Rob and Carrie. That was awesome. I'm with Rob. Every time I've seen that demo a couple of times, and I'm pretty impressed by the power of all of these pieces working together and what they can do. I do have a couple of questions. Make sure I have my sheet up here. The first two kind of go together, and they're more Power BI focused. So I have one that just says, how can I find out more info? And I'm pretty sure that Rob covered that with his, make sure you reach out to us and we can definitely give you some more information. But Kathy wants to know what a license cost is for Power BI.
Yeah, for that, Carissa, I'm going to defer to our sales team, our account managers. And the reason for that is it does depend. It's a low cost, it's a low user cost per user. And to be honest with you, I don't know what the latest cost is, but it's somewhere under in the neighborhood of $15 or less. All right, don't quote me on that. Now,
okay,
there are differences if you already have the Microsoft 365 platform, depending on which version you have. If you have Microsoft 365 for Business, sometimes it's included. So Power BI can be a standalone tool. There is also a free version that can be used. So lots of options there, but just to give you an idea of what you can expect to pay out of pocket, it's going to be in that ballpark, and you can certainly do a proof of concept for free, even use it for free to a certain extent. And again, it may be included.
I would just add to that, I would just add to that too, that right now, with everything going on, that Microsoft has been changing a little bit of the licensing structure and relaxing that for some organizations, especially in healthcare and other front of line response organizations, for a period of time. So if you are interested and you may qualify for some of those relaxed licensing fees right now, it's a great time to get started at a reduced rate. And then we'll see where Microsoft goes from here. But that would be the other thing I would just add to Rob's response, which was exactly accurate. It all just depends on what you've got right now.
Excellent. And of course, like we can't say it enough, just reach out to our team. We'd be happy to help. Okay, the next question I have is it possible to integrate Power App workflow with my ERP system?
Carrie, I'll
Yes.
let you roll.
Yes, it is possible. And it should be, it is possible, assuming that your ERP has APIs that would allow for that integration, or that you have access to the database if APIs aren't available, that you can have access to that data in order to create connectors and use the common data service to do that. So there's different ways of doing it depending on your ERP and your access to your data or the availability of APIs. But yes, it should be possible to integrate with your ERP.
And we should mention that the robotic process automation too, well, even if there aren't APIs available or a database connector is available for your particular platform, that's where the RPAs come in. That was kind of the final mile, if you will, in automating some of these legacy platforms. So again, a lot more options available to us now than there were just a couple of years ago.
Excellent. Okay, the next one is a little security focused. It says, can security be controlled through my Active Directory?
Yes. So because this is all, there's that central enterprise grade management, security can be controlled through Active Directory, especially if you're Office 365, Microsoft 365, if you're online. So that integration is absolutely built in and available.
Great. All right, the last one, I think this will do it for us, is Teams. In Teams, if I send someone a chat via Teams, will everyone see it?
So that depends how you send your chat. If you send your chat to an individual, then only you and that individual can see it. But if you post your chat message in the channel chat, then everyone who is a member of that channel can see it. And the members of a channel can be as small as a few members of a team, depending on how that channel is configured, to everyone in your organization. So it's really important when communicating via Teams to be sure that you have selected the appropriate audience for the message that you are sending.
Gotcha.
So
An
Teams has
important
been
distinction
getting,
to make sure your message are getting to the right people.
yeah, exactly. I was going to say Teams has been getting a lot of good publicity lately with the
Mhm.
NFL draft being hosted on Teams, as well as the finals for The Voice and things like that. Those are great use cases, and Microsoft was really, really good to get involved in these things. But we've used it for so many practical things since we've been, and even before the stay-at-home order, with us expanding into Nashville and so forth. It was very important for us to still feel connected and productive with the team that was still in Evansville. And so Teams has been a lifesaver for us. We spend a lot of time in it. And with the integration now, again, of your communication pipeline and things like that, it's just something that I keep up all day long for meetings and for the productivity that happens in between. It's been a really powerful tool for us.
Awesome. Well, that does it for our Q&A. Unless we have any more come through, I don't see any. I will lastly thank you all for taking the time to hang out with us and learn a little bit more about how you can power up your information pipeline. As I mentioned at the beginning, I wanted to remind you that when you registered, you were asked to provide us with your favorite charity, and we're going to select one of those to receive a $500 donation, and we'll be in touch with more information about that. So we really appreciate you partnering together with us. Community Give Back is very important to Keller Schrader and who we are, and we just appreciate you helping us decide where we can make a little more of a positive impact. So we'll be in touch about that. And to connect with us a little bit further on this or any other ways that our organization can help your organization with technology, you can contact our apps team directly at applications@kellerschrader.com. We're also on all the major social media networks, so Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. We have an Instagram and a YouTube page as well, but we're most active on LinkedIn and Facebook. That's an easy, quick way to connect with our team. We're pushing out information constantly from our vendor partners and then things that are going on with our team. There are a lot of valuable things that you can gain from connecting with us on social media. So I'd encourage you to do that. I also will mention, it's not on this page, but we have a few more webinars in the series coming up. So if you want to check out more information about that, you can find those at kellerschrader.com/events. All the information and sign-up links are there. And I think that's going to cover it for us today. Again, we really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much, Carrie and Rob, for that detailed information. And we will see you next time.
Thanks, Carissa. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Carissa.